Hey everybody, Tommy Norman with the Nashville Blues and Roots Alliance with another artist interview. I've got a special one for you today. I've got 17-year-old guitarist and band leader Grace Bowers. Grace is originally from the Bay Area, moved here to Nashville a few years ago. She came to prominence when she was posting her jam sessions during COVID online and kind of got a really good following there, and also earned herself a Gibson endorsement deal at the age of 14. Now at the ripe old age of 17, she's been playing with people like Dolly Parton, Susan Tedeschi, Devon Allman, Kingfish, just to name a few. You've seen her at pre-shows, at the Grammys, at the Ryman, at the Newport Folk Festival. She's everywhere, it seems, nowadays. And she's got a band together. They're about to put out an album later this year and hitting the festival circuit this summer. So you'll have to look out for her there. If you like what you're hearing and what you're seeing with the Nashville Blues and Roots Alliance, please go to bluesandroots.org. You can become a member. It's $25 for our membership for a year, and that gets you access to some discounts, to our newsletter. It also goes to support this nonprofit charity, which goes to supporting blues and roots artists and venues and things like that here in the Nashville area for our Blues and Schools program. Also, all of our shows that we do to support the International Blues Challenge, which is where we send people to compete every year, a local talent for a solo duo or a band. And this year in 2024, our band that we submitted, Piper and the Hard Times, won the whole thing, our first time out. So congratulations to them. And we're hoping this year to get the next winner that we're going to submit later this year. So look for submissions to open up a little bit later this year. And now sit back and listen to my interview with Grace Bowers. I'm here with Grace Bowers. Grace, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. We are here in the back room of the Underdog, which we've frequented sometimes before, which has been a great venue for you. I've seen you here plenty of times.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of stuff here,
Yeah.
but you've been doing a lot of different stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. But since we are the Nashville Blues and Roots Alliance, let's start with the blues. So how did you kind of get into music, and then specifically into the blues influence stuff you're doing?
Yeah, I got into music when I was 9 years old. I don't come from a musical family at all, so I didn't grow up around it. And the first thing I heard was Slash on YouTube, and that got me like really into hair metal for about 4 years until I was 13 years old, sitting in my mom's car. I think she was like running errands or something, and I'm like flipping through the stations, and I land on a blues station, and B.B. King was playing.
Okay.
And that was the first time I had ever heard, because like I had only heard hair metal before this, which I still like it, but it's cheesy. It's really cheesy. And hearing BB play, like he played two notes, and I was hooked from there on out.
Yeah, and those two notes kill every time. But it is. I was a hair metal guy too, because in the like in the '80s, that's when I started playing. Yeah. But then you started reading about all their influences, and all their influences
they are
were
influenced
like
by the
B.B.
blues,
King and all these things. And a couple of those guys would say, "Listen, all we're doing is playing B.B. King licks just really fast." So you get into B.B. King, and I know you've got a lot of you do a lot of Allman Brothers stuff, and I know I've heard you talk about Sly and the Family Stone before. But besides BB, who were those people that you're like, all right, I dig that sound. That's attracting me to this kind of older music.
Yeah, well, in terms of like just straight blues, after I found BB King, I got kind of dug deeper and started listening to like Mississippi John Hurt, which is more like I would call folk blues.
Yeah.
Freddie King, Fred McDowell. Just like really like digging into it and listening to everything I could, but. I still level that stuff. I'm more kind of on like the funk, soul, and classic rock side with like Sly and the Family Stone, as you mentioned. I love Funkadelic. Mountain is one of my favorite bands. Okay. So kind of
a nice eclectic mix there.
Yeah.
And how is that going? Like, so when, new album's coming out this year. I know you're working on it now.
Yeah.
How would you describe that how's that all melting pot go into what the Grace Bowers sound is going to be?
Well, I wanted to go in a different direction because I feel like everyone, since I have such an online presence, and everyone thinks I'm going to put out like a blues rock album or something, and it's not. I wouldn't call it blues rock. I wanted to, again, very influenced by Funkadelic and Sly and the Family Stone. And yeah, honestly, each song is kind of different. I feel like there's a good mixture of genres in there.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've heard some clips online, and I've heard you play a couple here, and it's definitely funky, very catchy.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how you got to Nashville in particular. So are you from here, or are you a transplant from California?
Yeah.
Right. Southern or northern?
Northern.
Northern, all right. How'd you get here?
I got here not necessarily by choice. It's been 2.5 years now since I moved, and my family, we had some friends down here, so we came out to visit them and ended up selling our house 6 weeks later and moving to Nashville. So it was a very spur of the moment decision, and I was pretty upset about it when we first got here.
Right.
And then I love it now. I miss California, but I love it out here.
Right. Well, moving and leaving all your friends. But
it's hard, yeah.
How was it coming when you think of like the music scene? What were you in a big city? Were you in a small town? Where were you?
We were in a small town, just outside of San Francisco.
Okay.
So I also was not. There was not even an existent music scene where I came from.
And so how was it coming from there? And so you started playing there, and not having a lot of
I played my first show out here 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I've played my first show 2 years ago, which is insane.
And where was that in town?
I was actually in Texas with a band called DOG.
Okay.
And it was at Lambert's, and we played to about maybe 20 people, and it was great.
Well, and kind of take me on that journey, because you've had this really, in the last year, I remember I saw you at an Underdog show, and everybody's like, you got to hear Grace Bowers. And I started following you, and then the next thing I know, you're with Dolly, and the next thing you're at the variety show, and the next thing you're at the Grammys, and at the Ryman. That seems like it's been a skyrocket. How's that been going?
It really has been. Contrary to what some people may say on Instagram, I'm not an industry plant. I've gotten very lucky, and I have a great team around me who's getting me great opportunities, and a lot of it I'm super thankful for. Just like comes to me. So I just feel like I'm very lucky.
Well, and you've definitely surrounded yourself with a lot of very supportive people.
Yeah.
I know Marty Schwartz is you claim that he taught you the pentatonic scale, and I've seen your interview with him, and he's played with you several times, and he's a big Nashville and supports it. And then you've got Eric in your band who with pitch meeting and all the things they do. You've got a bunch of people who are. I think a very uniquely Nashville band.
Yeah.
You've also got Prince, and I used to remember when Prince used to come out to the all the jams and things like that. So it's very interesting. Where did you get your lead singer? She's amazing.
I've known Esther, actually she was one of the first people I ever met when I moved out here, because my mom made me do a rock band camp over the summer because I had no friends when we first moved out here. And it ended up being at Esther's former high school, and we met there and kind of stayed in touch, and then maybe like 7 to 8 months ago I asked her to come sit in with us at a show.
Right.
And she killed it. I'm like, this should be a thing. And
is that kind of the nexus of the hodgepodge of what that's
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know you've got a lot of stuff going on. You don't have to name all of it. We'll put links to everything so everybody can find you and all that stuff. But what are kind of the big things that you're looking forward to this summer? The ones that, you've probably had some pinch me moments already, but what's coming up that you're just super excited about?
Well, we're playing lots of festivals this summer. Bottle Rock is going to be a good one. We're actually doing a whole California run for that. We're playing Telluride, Blues and Brews. Bourbon and Beyond, Pilgrimage just got announced today. Honestly, everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, it does seem like that. And a quick shout out, Telluride, the Piper and the Hard Times, which was the International Blues Competition Nashville band that won the whole thing. They're going to be there as well.
That's so cool.
If you haven't met those guys yet, you guys need to get connected. You'll love those guys. They're a great bunch of guys.
Cool.
So I also want to talk about, there is this thing that I've been talking to a lot of younger players lately. Danny Garwood in town, Kirsty Jolie, who's the one who kind of introduced us. Mac McDonald's a little bit older, but just graduated college, and it's specifically kind of blues rock, an art that guitar rock was kind of dying out for a while, and it almost seems like a side effect of the pandemic was a lot of people guitar sales went up, and a lot of people started learning guitar, and I feel like there's this new wave coming
Oh yeah, they're absolutely.
And so how do you feel about, like, you're one of the faces of that new wave of representing this new and attracting younger audiences to this style of music?
Yeah, well, I don't think it ever really died out, but it definitely is, becoming more popular. And I think Greta Van Fleet is actually a great example, regardless of what you think about their music, because they're selling out arenas, and that's just showing you that there's an audience for that kind of, people call them like Led Zeppelin, but I wouldn't say that they're in that direction anymore, but like it's pretty guitar focused and classic
retro rock kind
totally.
of, absolutely.
Yeah, and that just shows that there's an audience for it and that people want it. They want to hear that stuff, so I definitely think it's on the up and up.
So in Nashville, we have 100 people move here a day, and 99 of them are musicians.
Yeah.
So as someone who came here very young and kind of this was your introduction to that scene, so somebody who just moved here, young person just moved here, right out of college, right out of high school maybe, comes to Nashville to make it, what's your advice to them? Because this is a rough town.
Well, you're going to have to cut your teeth for a while, and I'm still cutting my teeth, but I'm making some money off of it eventually. But take every opportunity you can, and eventually you get to a place where you can start to say no to things. But that's how I did it. People would always tell me that I needed to be saying no more often, and I never did. There was a point where I was probably playing like every single night with different bands, different genres of music, and it just helped me learn so much, and especially playing with all different kinds of people in different situations. It teaches you not only music, but how to be a professional.
Right.
And I just think like there's no better way to learn that than to throw yourself into it.
Absolutely. We get a lot of people who are great, they come from whatever town they were from, and they were probably the best, musician in that town, and they come here and they're, it's a wash with people like that, and they find out that just being good at your craft, is different than being good in a band, being a good hang.
Same with songwriting too.
Yeah.
Doesn't really apply.
And then I saw it's interesting to watch, I know Eric kind of sometimes acts as band leader of when to stop, when to go, and knowing when to do things and stuff like that, and when to let somebody else shine. And I've noticed you take that really well, and you truly have a band.
Yeah.
It's not just a vehicle for you. You want everybody to kind of shine.
That was exactly my goal with it, because I am a guitar player. This isn't a guitar show at all. Yes, I have a lot of guitar solos, but we also have a lot of keyboard solos and a lot of drum solos. I think that's what we have a lack of right now is bands rather than artists. And I don't know. I just think it's different and fun.
Well, and like those bands you've talked about that were in your films, like Sly and the Family Stone, and the Allman Brothers Band, the different bands like that, those were ensemble bands.
Yeah,
yes, there were stars in those bands, but everybody kind of had a place in there. A full sound, a big full sound, and kind of a lot of back and forth and things like that. So it's really, really cool. So I know we're about to head out there and play. So before we leave, we talked about lots of festivals this summer, album coming out. Where can people find you if they want to see more about what's going on with you?
Right now on all social media. Soon enough you can find me on all your streaming services. We'll see when that happens, but
what's that? Was that a little streaming service live thing coming out? What's going on there?
Our single coming out.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. What's the name of the first single?
Tell Me Why You Do That.
Okay. That's the one. I think there was a little clip on that one. There's a lot of cool vocals
that was
on that one.
Yeah.
A lot of good background vocals on that one. Well, that's very exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much for sitting down with us. We sure appreciate it, and we are just happy to kind of watch you represent the, blues as one of the many things, the tapestry you weave, and also Nashville. We will claim you as one of our own, even though you're a transplant. But it's you're I think a very unique Nashville. Your whole band is very a Nashville, unique thing, and so we're just so happy to see your success.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, everybody.